Please confirm.
Hello, good
Hear me.
evening.
Hi, good evening. How is everyone
Good
doing
evening.
today? Welcome to today's
I'm
session.
fine.
Thank you, Winnie. It's good to have you here.
Thank
So we are
you
expecting
too.
more people to join us, but we are just going to get started. All right. So,
Okay.
um, okay, Winnie. Thank
Wow,
you
you
once
look
again,
like
everyone, for joining. All right, so very quickly, I'm just going to introduce it. So let me ask, first of all, if this is your first time here, can you drop a 1 in the chat? If this is the first time you'll be joining Analytics Masterclass, I would like for you to drop a 1 in the chat. Okay, welcome, Abby. So I guess everyone here is pretty familiar with what we do, but still, I'm going to do an introduction of analytics and what we are all about. Please confirm you can see my screen.
yes, we can.
All right, thank you. So yes, about analytics. Analytics is an edtech, educational technology company that is all about helping Africans and people of the Black community learn premium tech skills and lowering the entry barrier into tech. Okay, so we are all about helping people of the Black community get into tech and also on their skills in tech. Our service offerings are aimed at building capacity and understanding across different tech fields, including data analytics, business analysis, data engineering, data science, financial analytics, HR analytics that we are here for today, and also power platforms and the entire data ecosystem to enable our clients achieve data-driven decisions and decision making in general. So we have facilitators from different companies such as Apple, Microsoft, McKinsey, Amazon, PwC, Sahara Group, and so on and so forth. We have our facilitators from different companies, right? And all our courses are structured in a way that even if you're a beginner, you have absolutely no background in tech, you are able to get on it and also be able to achieve your goal, which is to probably start earning higher or start a new career and what have you. So our courses are structured in a way that makes it practical and ensures that you get optimal value for your money. All right. That is about analytics. Meet the founders of analytics. On my left, right, I have Adiza Suleiman, who is the founder of Analytics. He's a data analytics expert with over 10 years, with close to a decade experience working in data analytics and management, consulting. He has worked in sports. He has worked in professional services. He's currently working in edtech, energy, and automobile sectors. And he has trained over 8,500 participants and even more than that, if I say so myself. And then on my right hand side, I have Femina April, who is the co-founder of Analytics. He is a business data support lead at Post Office in the UK. He's a global business systems analyst in Teleflex Ireland. He's a business intelligence developer in DPD Ireland. Ifemina is a data scientist that has close to a decade experience cutting across multiple sectors. Talk about finance, health, IT itself, and so on and so forth. And he holds a master's degree in data analytics from the Athlon Institute of Technology. So feel free to connect with Adeza and Ifemina on LinkedIn, on Twitter, and on Instagram. We have their handles here if you want to connect with them. All right. So our special guest for today is Victor Oyeshino. All right. So Victor is an HR expert, HR professional with 4 years of experience working for tech startups, Africa's most influential media organization, and of course, Nigeria's first value airline, which covers talent acquisition, people analytics, talent partnering, and performance management. right? So he understands that people are the greatest assets. Therefore, when their human capital is well harnessed and cultivated, they should be empowered. Victor is a person that is very special to us at Analytics. He has a growth mindset and is a strong entrepreneurial spirit, right? He has vast experience in conducting virtual employability training across 5 universities in Nigeria. And all right, guys, so I'm just going to mute everyone. A minute.
I'm so confused.
Okay, here we go. Right, so we don't have any form of distraction. So right, so Victor has coordinated end-to-end recruitment process for first cohort of executive volunteers for the Nigerian campus of a United Nations Foundations with a presence in over 125 countries. All right. So lastly, I'm going to speak about me. My name is Oluwadamlola Ajumobi, and I currently lead training and operations at Analytics. I have close to 3 years experience in data analytics and data science. I have also helped over 3,000 people transition into tech. I am a person that is like really passionate about making the tech space attractive for women. And of course, I'm one of the women in tech ambassador for Google, right? And then an ardent advocate for Black people in tech. So you can connect with me and Victor on LinkedIn using our names. Now, our achievements in 2022 at Analytics. In 2022, we're able to help over 500 people transition from the classroom into their first job in tech, right? So right from the classroom, the way we are in a classroom like this, into their first job in tech, across UK, US, Canada, Europe, and Asia, Nigeria as well. These are the companies that our students work. We have First Bank, eBay, Amazon, PwC, Fitsin, Fidelity, goes on and on and on. All right. You can see our impact and features in 2022, where we're featured in Business Day, talking about Analytics help Africans across 4 continents land tech jobs. We also have Nairametrics, we have Punch, we've got PR Fire, and so on and so forth. We also add a couple of hackathon last year, and you should definitely be on the lookout. We'll be having a bomber one this year. Okay, so that is for us at Analytics. Now let us get started to what we have for today. Today we are going to be speaking on the topic how analytics is used in HR real life case scenario, right? And that is where Victor is going to be coming in to speak to us about how he was able to get started in his HR analytics journey, where he is at right now, what he uses HR analytics for in his day-to-day work as an HR expert, and also be answering questions on if you have questions, right, you can feel free to drop it in the chat. But at this point, I'm going to be calling up Victor. Hi, Victor.
Good evening, Dami. How are you doing?
I'm
very
well,
excited to be here. Please confirm that you can see me.
I can see you. Okay,
Fantastic.
You now. Okay.
Fantastic.
How are you doing? Welcome to today's session.
I'm good.
For joining us today.
Yeah.
All right. So do you want to? I think I probably did not do justice to introducing you earlier. So do you want to introduce yourself broadly?
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, depending on which part of the world you're joining. My name is Victor, and I'm a very proud alumni of Analytics. I like to say that anywhere and everywhere I go, partly because my story has demonstrated the fact that you can become whatever you set your mind to do, and that's not capping at all. Let me use a tech language. So I'm an HR professional. This is my fifth year of doing HR practice across a few sectors. More importantly, I used to work in aviation before I got into technology. I'd always wanted to really elevate my game to move my career to the next level, but I didn't know how to go about it. And at some point, I found data analytics. I'd been considering that for quite some time. This is way back in 2020. And then eventually in 2022, I took the step to register for the HR Analytics cohort. That was cohort 5, November 2022, I believe. And that played a very significant role. It's a milestone that I will always make reference to because of the many things that have happened after that. So I got into the session as somebody who didn't know anything, literally. I didn't know anything apart from a few theories I've read on the internet, and then I remember a master class like this. I think we had a femina, and it just walked us through, helped us see that this thing is possible, you can do it. And of course, we got into the class, started the classes, learning online. Dami was one of my facilitators, very amazing person, very patient, and all of that. And one strategic thing that happened that I like to say everywhere I go is that I didn't even finish the training before I got a job with a US company. And this is a real life scenario. All of those things are verifiable so that you know that this is a very credible platform. Nobody's coming to Bobo anybody. You can check me out. You can check them out. You can check out their founders and their co-founders. I think they even recently have a podcast on YouTube that they do. So everything we're telling you here is legit. I literally got a job with the basic knowledge of what I'd received in about 2 months of the classes and transition to tech, still leveraging my domain knowledge, which is one of the things we're going to talk about here. And of course, that major role opened up many opportunities for me in terms of the culture of my work, access to stakeholders, being able to create value, and of course, more money, more access, more visibility, and all of that. So I'm looking forward to really sharing from my heart to tonight or this afternoon, this evening, depending on where you're joining from, to take your questions. I want to be very real with you. I'm not the kind of guy that will tell you what is not. I will try as much as I can to let you know my successes, some of the challenges I had, I overcame them, and take as many questions as I can. The goal is to be able to prep you up, help you see that you're on the right platform. This is the right place to be at the moment. If you need to make a decision to join the next cohort, this is what you've been waiting for. So stay locked in, ensure your phone is fully charged. If you need to get a power bank, connect to the proper internet, and let's get it rolling. So once again, welcome, guys. We're glad to have you on board. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You guys, if you're following what we are doing here, I want you to drop a thumbs up in the chat if you totally enjoyed Victor's introduction, and of course you'd like to learn more. Drop a thumbs up in the chat so that I know that people are following us. Okay, thumbs up, just the emojis. Nobody. All right, everyone, thank you. Let's keep it coming. Okay, so Victor, I'd like to ask first of all, like, why HR? Okay, so why HR analytics? Why did you even choose? Some people will go for software development, some people will go for UI UX, but why did you go for HR analytics?
Well, I went for HR analytics simply because I already had domain knowledge in HR, which is one of the hacks you can use to break into tech. If you want to break into tech, sometimes it's good to start from your domain knowledge. So I'd already done HR for about 4 years. I wanted to add the analytics back to it, and then it just made sense that I found a course that would help me have the knowledge of analytics, and more importantly, help me see how I can deploy that knowledge in my day-to-day work. So it was the perfect course for the moment. And of course, Analytics was also the perfect platform. I'd researched other platforms. One of the things that stood out for Analytics was the fact that the duration was longer. The classes were live, virtual. You could also, get access to recorded session. And more importantly, the capstone project, and the growth internship. Those were key elements that helped my decision making with HR analytics with this platform. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. But would you say that without the HR background, you would not have been able to thrive in HR analytics?
Of course not. First, because I'm a smart person, so the class is designed for beginners, so it won't be that difficult for you to be able to navigate. If I've taken the data analytics course or even data science course, and all of that, I will still have thrived. I'm able to make sense of where I am today. However, I think that leveraging my domain knowledge was a key way to play to my strength. And one of the things that people even say as one of the key rules of success is many times when you play in the area of your strengths, your tendencies of creating results are higher. Your tendencies to have success is higher when you play to your strengths. So if it wasn't HR statistics, I believe that I would still have thrived and be doing well in my career. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So how has HR analytics made things better for you as an HR professional? How has it made your career easier, your day-to-day easier, your job in general? How has it made it easier?
First is it has increased my level of self-awareness. And one of the things I like to share whenever I have opportunities like this, it's not just to talk about the analytics part alone, but the overall career overview. So you find out that even in life, even if it's not your career, every journey that you embark upon in life seems to get better as the years come by. In other words, your level of self-awareness increases. What you know in year 4 is way better than what you need in year 1, such that by the time you got to year 4, you're like, wow, this thing I used to struggle with, I didn't know it was as easy as this. So for me, it was an opportunity to understand how HR is very strategic to business. And I know that there are a lot of HR enthusiasts on the call. You realize that many times you hear people say things like HR is a cost center, HR is a support function. How can we have HR to have a seat at the table? Because many times HR is seen as that business function that spends money, whether it's on trainings, whether it's on employee costs, all those kind of things. So the cost helped me see from a very strategic point, of course, with the use of data, how HR is valuable to business, how HR is valuable to enterprise, how HR is valuable to how companies succeed. That was one key thing. It changed my mindset to doing career. Number 2 would be because of the kind of skill that it was a very high income skill. It was also a very exceptional skill. It opened door for me for more visibility because take a look at my role at Hugo. I was involved with creating HR reports that was literally sent to our CEO on a weekly basis. Now, what that did was provide more visibility on the quality of the people in the HR team, and of course, the people doing that work. So visibility is number 2. Number 3 would be, the opportunity to transition to technology. So if you want to come into tech, it just makes sense to have a tech skill. If you want to move into any industry, it's good to have the skills that are native to that industry. So because of the nature of my career journey, and I'm sure that there are a lot of HR people here, I believe that some of you are still growing in your careers, you realize that HR practice across different parts of the world or across different industries can be very diverse. Now, because I wanted to play in tech, taking this course was also an opportunity to say, I now have a skill that can allow me play in that industry because that industry gives a lot of opportunities. And then finally, of course, the opportunities that come with that, whether it's jobs, whether it's more visibility, whether it's more reckoning by senior professionals, and of course, the remuneration, the money that comes with it, and all of that. So those are 4 key things that this course really helped to achieve in my career. And of course, it's still an ongoing process. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for answering that. So guys, if you have questions for Victor, you can start dropping them in the chat so that you don't forget. If you have anything like you'd like to ask him, you can just drop it in the chat and we'll pick it up from there. So Victor, my next question would be, what exactly do you do as an HR analyst? Like, so, okay, you're into HR analytics, but what exactly do you do?
Okay, what exactly do I do? Well, I currently take on a more generalist function now. However, during my time as an HR analyst, my job basically involved primarily using company data, using employee data to be able to find the kind of valuable insights that can help business decision. Now, that's not theory. Let me break it down, because many times there's a lot of leveraging data to, draw insights and make decisions. That can still be theory. What does that mean? So we have a very strong data culture, and that's the place to start with. At Hugo, we had a very, very strong data culture. In other words, you could look at employee data, you could look at recruitment data, you could look at data from different sources and be able to draw a trend. So at some point, we realized that people who came into our graduate training program at that time were from certain schools and are graduated with a certain grade. Now, that helped to focus the attention when we wanted to have another recruitment drive on those kind of places, because you can see from the insights we've drawn from the data available that this seems to be where our results come from. Does that make sense? That's a real life scenario. Another real life scenario would be looking at attrition rates. So part of the reports that I will share would include employee turnover, recruitment data, turnover rates, employee length of service, all those kind of things. And when you critically look at that data spread and you compare across different years and different months, you can realize that we seem to have a particular attrition, and this is real life scenario. We had a very high attrition rate in a particular team. Of course, I won't mention the name of that team for confidentiality reasons. Why? We then look at the concept of job analysis or job design. I'm sure that some of you are HR professionals on the call. I'm going to speak in a lot technically so that you can see how everything connects together. So you will see that every job has, its attendant peculiarities, whether it's the requirement in terms of your physical, mental, emotional energy, the working conditions, all of that. Now, we found out that this particular set of job functions spent a lot of time behind the screen because of the kind of work that they did. Also, on that particular role, because of the nature of the business at that time, there were not many paths to which you can grow into. So you are familiar with the concept of career pathing, where let's say somebody is an analyst today, you can become, so from an analyst to an associate, to a senior associate, to a manager. But that particular job function did not provide that kind of trajectory. So it meant that after a 1 year, 6 months gap, people begin to fall off. Does that make sense? That makes sense. So those are some of the key things I did on a day-to-day basis as an HR analyst. Adela, I'm going to come to your question. Yeah, so making sense of employee data, making sense of recruitment data, making sense of any data. In fact, there was a time that we needed to balance some things on the company financials. And Danny, I'm going to come to that. I can see all your questions. I'll come to that. Now, making sense of that data in a way that you can provide insights that helps the business to advance. So recruitment data, employee data, things around recruitment, retention, turnover, even statutory. Looking at all of those data and being able to say, here is a trend, here is what it means. Is it a strong alert? Is it a red alert? What is the risk that he has? How does it affect the business? And what can we do within the context of what we have? Again, you know that the fact that you seem to be able to draw insight from a data spread does not mean that the business is going to implement. And that's one key things that HR professionals need to be comfortable with, that, okay, this trend is fine. We can see the line, we can see everything. It doesn't mean that it's going to be implemented. So those were some of the key things that I did as an HR analyst. Now, beyond that, I also did other HR stuff, which is talent acquisition, sitting on interviews. Talent acquisition was part of things I did. I was part of the onboarding process. I literally was deeply involved in hiring over 600 interns at a point as an HR analyst. I led the onboarding program, did Glassdoor review, vendor management, several other things like that day-to-day HR. But the core of my work had to also revolve around making sense of data to help the company make decisions. So that answers your question. Thank you very much, Dan.
That absolutely answers my question. Okay, thank you very much. So I'm going to take a break from my questions and just come to the chat and pick up a couple of questions from here. So I'm saying, what is data analysis and what do they do? Do you want to answer that? Or should I answer it?
What is data analysis and what do they do? I believe it was a answer that, but gives generally the concept of analytics is to be able to make use of data to make decisions. Now, data is not just the numbers on Excel. Data is Twitter. Data is Instagram posts. Data is traffic reports. I want you to begin to open your mind. Like data is all the different things, whether it's qualitative, quantitative, that we can put together, draw insight from, be able to make a decision, draw and make analysis, and help improve, whether it's a company, whether it's a process, whether it's national development. So that really is the concept of analytics. So people who make use of data, who arrange data, who sort data, who analyze data, who interpret data across different spheres, whether it's finance, so they are called finance analysts, HR analysts, supply chain, customer experience. Those are the guys that are called data analysts. I hope that answers your question elaborately, Gift Joshua. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now, I'd like to ask, so what is your tech stack like as an HR professional? What are the tools you use for your HR analytics role?
Yeah, Excel, Microsoft Excel, and Power BI. And that's for me at the moment. I like to pace myself. I like to deep in my role. So my tech stack is Microsoft Excel and Power BI. Yeah, maybe over time we can get into Tableau, SQL, but Excel, Power BI does the magic. In fact, Excel does a lot of things. And of course, Google Sheets also does a lot of magic. So Google Sheets, Microsoft Excel, Power BI. Thank you very much.
Interesting. So you don't need Python, you don't need statistics.
So to be very honest, depending on the scale of company you're working with, depending on what their tech stack, some companies, may have some of those enterprise resource tools. However, really, within the context of what you need to do, Excel does it. I'm telling you. In fact, Google Sheet does it, which means if you don't have an enterprise hub, your normal Gmail that is not a business application can literally solve your problems and create value. So Excel does it. Power BI does it. And if you want to bring in Python, all them web scraping, SQL, those kind of things, it's good. But the most things you are going to do, your visualization, your dashboards, your sorting, your cleaning, your arranging, I'm telling you, Excel, Google Sheets, Power BI does it for you. Take that to the bank. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. So if it's not confidential, is there a way you can show us some of the things that you've worked on over time as an HR analyst? Just for people to see maybe the visual part or something.
Yeah. While that is going on, maybe I want to pull up something from my drive. While that is going on, I'll just try to run briefly through. I'm not sure I have a personal project within my view, like a personal project, but trying to pick that up. So while that is going, we can take another question, and then I look at my drive to see if I can pick up something.
All right then. So let me look at another one. Somebody is asking if you still work as an HR analyst. Yes, I believe it does. It currently works with Tangerine.
Okay, so I have a more generalist approach now. So I just got in a new role recently. Of course, I also was able to leverage my knowledge of analytics and HR to do that. So I'm in my first senior role of my career at the moment, and what I do is beyond just making sense of data. I do a lot more from a strategic point of view, whether it is designing company organograms, HR strategy, HR process design. So what I do right now is way bigger than just using data, sending reports and all that, that's where I am in my career. So it's a more generalist approach, competition and benefit from a very full scale, whether it's vendor management, statutory compliance, all those kind of things. So what I do now, analytics is part of it, but it's way much more than analytics. All right, thank you. Next questions where I try to bring up something that works.
Okay. I hope that answers your question. So we have here, okay, since you got a job in Nigeria from Canada, how did you do it? Is the work purely remote or you had to relocate?
Okay, so the job at Hugo that I had, Hugo is based in the US, and of course they have operation in some other countries. It was a purely remote role. at the time when I resumed, and it was not a role where they wanted to provide visa. It was not, so some kind of roles would be where they wanted to provide work visa. The company's willing to provide a visa for you to go. Some other roles would say is remote, but you have to be in that country. I know people are still arguing about that on LinkedIn, say, okay, if you say it's US, why do I still have to be in the US? And of course, on some other roles, you can literally work from any part of the world. So in my case, I could work from Nigeria where I lived. And of course, once in a while, when it was necessary, I checked into one of our offices to do a few things that needed my attention, but it was a remote role from the company based in the US. That was how that works. I hope I answered your question. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So yes, another thing I'd like to add is that as an HR analyst, so people would believe that, oh, HR, they work from the office all the time, blah, blah, blah. But Victor is a typical example of somebody, you know, an HR professional analyst that fully remote, and the job was not even in Nigeria, right? So as an HR analyst, you can always get a fully, completely, purely remote job. And if you need jobs that would provide sponsorships as well, that was a bit tough. Sponsorships as well. You can always, like, there are various sites that you can always get that from. All right. So I'm saying here, what is the role of HR analyst? I think it has explained
already answered that. Yeah,
later, earlier. So I'll move to the next question. How does somebody who doesn't have any background in HR but is interested in HR dive into the field and scale up to becoming a HR analyst? So they have no background, but they are interested. So how exactly do they dive into the field and scale up to becoming a HR analyst?
Okay, so first thing is you're attending webinars and master classes like this to help you find awareness. Very important. Now, if you want to be an HR analyst, of course, I believe that, in fact, I know someone personally who got hired without having any background already in HR. But I'd recommend that as you are building your analytics strength and your analytics knowledge, ensure that you are also building basic HR knowledge. Why? Many times when you have a domain knowledge, your transition is easy. And I really want to hammer on the concept of domain knowledge. So if you're in customer experience, you can learn analytics and simply leverage that. There's something they call transferable skills. If you're in finance, if you're in supply chain. However, if you don't even have any knowledge in each of these domains, it's not totally impossible. Start out with your analytics journey. Ensure that you are building your skills beyond the basics intermediate level. Work on projects in the areas that you want to transition to. Those will stand, you know, in a way to help you cover up for knowledge that you don't have, even though it's not 100%. But if you've worked on a quality of project, for example, you want to be an HR analyst, there are different kinds of data on cargo. There are different kinds of data that you can even get on 10 Analytics, YouTube channel. Work on those kind of data, work with employee data, do projects, share your findings, put out yourself publicly, put out your work publicly. By doing that, you can begin to attract opportunities. Now, one thing that I think also helped, which is a hack that I like to say, is if possible, please change your location on LinkedIn. I don't believe that it is lying. Many times when you change it, I think it's one way to strategically position yourself. So if you want to attract jobs in the UK, you want to attract jobs in the US, there's a way you can set your LinkedIn job alert once you change your location, that on a daily basis under your job tab on LinkedIn or in your email, you get daily opportunities in that area. In fact, if you are very good with SEO, or better still, you know how to optimize your LinkedIn profile in a way that it has a lot of keywords that when recruiters are doing web scraping, they can find a lot of keywords that connect what they are looking for. There's a high tendency that recruiters from those markets, US, UK, Canada, will begin to reach out in your DM because you look like the kind of person they are looking for. So I'll take that again. Deepen your analytics leg, deepen your analytics knowledge, begin to work on HR projects, do a lot of research about HR stuff. AIHR.com is a valuable website where you can learn a lot of things about HR. AIHR.com. You can literally learn everything HR from a theoretical perspective on that website, AIHR.com, and put out your work with employee data, work with people data, work on projects, put yourself out publicly, change your location. Is one major hack that can be a game changer for you, I'm telling you. And then let the opportunities begin to come in, and then you cannot begin to see between whether they're willing to sponsor visa, you want to work from here, etc., etc., etc. All right, then. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, another question here that I have. Does all these inferences work in real life situation? Inferences, I'm not sure. What do you mean inferences, Razak, if you want to explain that better? But let me take one more question from my side, right? So, I'm pretty sure that you've probably used like HR analytics in a couple of different ways. So do you like want to paint a couple of scenarios for us where you had to, as an HR professional, you had to use HR analytics in your normal day-to-day work?
Okay, let me start from there. I was still trying to pick up something from my drive. So I had switched systems at the time. So most of what I have access to here are company confidential data. I'm trying to see if I could edit some slides and all that, but let's see if I can be able to make something out of that before the end of this session. Now,
Okay.
real life scenarios. In what cases have I had to use analytics? At some point, we were trying to, so from a recruitment standpoint, I've had to work on data collected from multiple recruitment gigs, multiple recruitment cohorts across 2-3 years to understand, like I mentioned in my introduction, the trend of how we get certain candidates for certain roles at one of the organizations where I've worked. This was real life practical scenario. Now, I got that data. I had, names, age, degrees, grades they finished with, universities, location, and all of that. Now, because of the kind of work that we do and the kind of clients that we work for, many times there's just going to be a lot of demands to hire people and all that. So it was important to always have a steady database, one, and to be able to focus on the people that count, because it doesn't make sense to have 2,000 people on your database for every HR person. If you have 2,000 people, you're probably going to get like 1/10 of that who are very strong and solid, and then maybe another 1/10 of that you won't go to recruitment stages before you get to hire people. So why waste time when you have the data? Why not just find the model that works? So we looked at it and saw that certain universities that offered certain courses seemed to have candidates that are filled with certain kinds of grades. There are some schools that will say, A is for God, B is for me as a lecturer. Hey, like top grades is for God. The lower grade, which is grade B, is for the lecturers. And then the best of the students can have grade C's. I won't mention names. But what happened is with those kind of institutions, you realize, real life scenario, you realize that even though the students may be smart, the kind of grade that they eventually finish with in those courses that we need to hire, because again, we're very specific about some kind of courses, didn't make the mark. Another thing we also found out was that because of location, a lot of people, maybe because of where they school, they don't have family in Lagos. They are not based in Lagos. And to be very honest, the crux of opportunities when it comes to career, and I'm going to be very honest with you, is in Lagos. Take that to the bank. Many corporate organizations are here. I know that across different parts of the country within Nigeria and other parts of the world, different markets function differently. But if you look at the context of Nigeria where we are staying, in that scenario, looked at the data at that time, because people were not in Lagos, it meant that they could not leverage the opportunity. So using the fact that, okay, these courses seem to have the highest results, this kind of grades, this kind of school, and this location, it was easy to map out a recruitment strategy focusing on those key insights to be able to drive, of course, traction to be able to solve other recruitment solutions. That is real life scenario. So, for example, let's say XXX school has XXX kind of students in this kind of course and all that. I then channel my energy, just like when you're running Instagram ads or Facebook ads. I'm sure there's some of you that have businesses here. You simply just target those kind of places for your recruitment, get the result that you want. You're not wasting time, you're not wasting resources, and you can make decisions straight up. Another one would be performance management. And for a lot of you who are familiar with performance management, you know that performance management has a very, very strong quantitative measure in it, whether you're using the balanced scorecard model, whether you're using the OKR model, irrespective of what you are using, or you're using your KPIs, you want to be able to make quantitative sense of how people perform. So we design metrics to say across this and this and this is what 5 stands for, this is what 4 stands for, this is what 3 stands for, this is what 2 stands for, this is what 1 stands for. And then by the time people are rated across peer-to-peer reviews, managers review, and all of that, you can then now see how people perform across different clusters, across different blocks, and then you know what their performance is for the year, real life scenario. So the data you are getting is not just from surveys alone or from questions and answers, but you are able to make sense of that data. So you realize that one way to do that is to assign numbers, assign letters, assign points, so that by the time you're bringing all of those things in a quantitative manner, you can be able to extract, you can be able to transform, you can be able to interpret, draw trends, and see why this and this is not happening. So for example, let's say you have a cap of 5, or let's say 100%. So let's say 90% and above is excellent. Or let's say between 4 and 5 is this, between 3 and 4 is this, between 2 and 1 is this. Now, by the time you deploy different questions across the performance framework, now I may not be able to go detailed into this because of our time, that capture each of the points, because you need to be able to interpret it in a quantitative sense. Now, when all of those things eventually come out, and then you can download the data, bring it out on your Excel, your Google Sheets, download a CSV, depending on what you are doing, and then you get out your pivot chart, draw the trends, have your charts, and then determine, okay, this is what employee performance means across age groups. This is what employee performance means across departments. This is what employee performance means across job functions. This is what employee performance means across individuals, real life scenario. Another one would be HMO survey. So at some point, let's say you're a company, or at some point we are deployed, health insurance services to our employees, and we really wanted to know, where is our money going? What's the usage like? What's the trend like? What things should we focus on? What things should we cut out? How can we adjust this in a way that helps us save money? So we deployed a survey. Now, one of the things that's very important in the analytics journey is that you must always understand what the end goal is. That way, it provides guidance in how you deploy your survey, your questionnaire, whatever it is, to draw your trends. Now, eventually, we did that across different blocks of employees, and we found out that, okay, XXX number of employees in certain age group seem to value this kind of service more than this service. XXX number of employees across the certain age group, let's say, for example, Gen Z people, let's say married people. Of course, I can't give you very fine print details because of confidentiality, but with all I'm saying, as an HR professional, you probably already understand that this is what it means in context. So let's say Gen Zs like this so kind of service. People who are married, their headache is different. They have so kind of service, right? So because of that, we cannot be able to say, okay, next year when we are planning for this, we want to have a bit of this, cut out this, because this doesn't make sense. Another real life scenario, Glassdoor review. So I'm sure that a lot of you, when you're applying to companies, you check out what their rep is like on Glassdoor. You want to see what people have written about them, whether they are doing well or they are not doing well. It's one of the projects that I undertook with one of my teammates at that time. So we had an entire review on Glassdoor. If you go to glassdoor.com, you're able to create a company profile. If your company doesn't already have a profile there, look at comments and feedback that people have given over the months and the years. Know if your company is doing well or not. That's real-time feedback. And then download that data again. You take it from the internet, you put it on your Excel sheet, you begin to arrange the data, make sense of it, sort it, interpret it, and then see the trend. So people said this company XXX is good, but XXX is bad. For example, the pay is good, but people are always stressed. People are leaving this department because this manager is toxic. Are you seeing how everything is making sense? Are you seeing everything is connected together? So these are real life. And of course, after getting all of that, okay, this is good, this is good, this is good. We need to work on this. These are projections. Finally, learning and development. So it's one thing to say that I like to work for an organization where they train people. Some companies would have massive training budgets. Some companies do not have training budget. But let's say eventually you choose to deploy a training solution for your employees. Let's not forget that beyond HR analytics, beyond sorting, interpreting, analyzing data, there's an entire HR system that you must always have that overview. In other words, HR is in the company to be able to ensure that we are managing human capital, we are training, we are attracting, we are deploying, we are developing people in a way that they can deliver their best on the job and gives the company competitive advantage. That's the big picture. So analytics as a part of it must be strategic. So let's look at learn and development. Learn and development is a very important part of an employee life cycle that can increase performance, because again, the difference between company A that is on the top of the stock market and company B can be the difference in knowledge that they have access to. So that's why you see that you say company have trade secrets. They have information that they keep because that's what keeps them, or that's what gives them that market head. So many times when you look at organizational performance, many times it can be related to knowledge. So company has said we want to train people on X, Y, Z because in our industry at the moment, people that seem to have this skill can attract more customers, we can make more sales, revenue can come in, our profit can shoot up, the company is doing well, they can pay you bonus at the end of the year. Real life scenario. So we deploy a learning solution and then we say, okay, what's the percentage of people who have enrolled? What's the completion rate? What's the dropout rate? When they did the assessment, what happened with the assessment? When we got the feedback from the employees concerning the quality of the training, the mode of the training, what are our numbers saying? And then in a 3 month, 6 month, 9 month, 1 year cycle, how has the impact of that course affected performance on the job? Real life scenario. I'm not telling you what is not working, so that you can see how these things literally work in real life. So by the time you have all of those things, you can now see, okay, our learning budgets that we deploy, let's say $10,000, $5,000 has contributed significantly. We can see the effect in sales department. We can see the effect in the product team. Real life scenario. And of course, eventually, all of those things eventually affect company revenue. This was also something we did real life. And then you can see the value of analytics. So if you draw your trend, if you sort your data, if you interpret your data, and you see that the numbers are not numbering, or the amount you are investing doesn't seem to make sense, there's no ROI on that learning, you want to begin to look at what are the blocks that you have. Are there any stop gaps? How can you address that? So the concept of analytics is seeing how we can make use of data, whether we are sorting it, we're analyzing it, we're interpreting it across the individual business functions that partake to your career: learning, performance, comp and ben. For example, compensation and benefits. So I worked in a company at a time where people were always complaining the salary is small. Employees will always complain their salary is small. They need to increase our salary. It's just reality. It's small. They need to increase it. They need to increase. Okay, it's fine. Let's do a market survey. What are people earning across different roles on this grade in this industry, so that we know whether we are doing well or not? Now, of course, there are going to be outliers like Google, let's say in tech, for example, who will always be playing 170% far above market rate. What Google is saying is that we have placed our talent as high as this. Our competitors' hand cannot touch them. That's real life. I mean, before the Google layoffs, we're reading news like, how do you pay 170% far above market rate? Of course, it's one of also their strategies to attract. I mean, if a company is, it's just like somebody is earning this and somebody is earning this times over, you want to work for that person straight up. So that was one of the base they are using to get some of the best guys from once they are done with their MBA and all that. Now, you are not a Google. You cannot say you want to be doing, you're just sharing money for free. So look at your markets, look at the different job functions across the market. So you see that in this explanation I'm giving, I'm already talking about job analysis, I'm talking about job design, and then see, get the data, whether primarily by using consulting companies or by picking up the phone, making anonymous phone calls, calling people, gathering data, and see in this industry, who is paying most for what roles? Where do we stand? So there's a middle gap, there's a minimum, there's a maximum. That data, those numbers, the evidence that you have can help you adjust what your pay structure would be like. So let's say it leads to an increase. It means that your employees get more money, they are happy, they stay on the job. Why? Because of analytics. So, Damlola, I hope that I've been able to explain in real time. There's no bobo here. There's nothing like, it's just dashboard. It's not dashboard. That's why, many times, particularly in HR communities, there can be a lot of things like, yeah, HR analytics, HR tech, I know. But beyond leveraging
data to help business decisions. Let's break it down. What does that mean in context? How is it helping? And of course, after coming with all of that, I spoke about the implementation part, where you must also set your mind so that it is not everything that HR suggests to management that management will implement. It's just what it is, because again, across every business cycle, there are always priorities. So for example, let's say we want to deploy an LMS so that we'll be spending less money on training. Real life scenario. How much does it cost to get an LMS? Let's talk to some of the biggest vendors in town. Maybe there are some vendors that can take 1,000 people, they can take 10,000 people, or there are probably a few startups who have designed a learning solution that can take about 50 people for free, but they won't give you full license. You can integrate with Microsoft Teams, you can integrate it with this. Is that making sense? So whatever now happens in the financials, and if the company says it makes sense to make that decision, then it makes sense. So this is how you can make sense as a strategic HR business partner or a strategic HR professional using analytics. You are showing the value, you are showing the insights, you are showing the trend, and you are making the recommendations in a way that makes the business or gives the business competitive advantage. Many times, if you can sell that and there are no many distractions or inhibitions or maybe other business priorities, you may seem to have a very strong way with your management. So thank you very much. Hopefully, I'm going to share in the comment section. I wrote an article for LinkedIn earlier in the year, also buttressing on the concept of analytics, how you can make sense of that in your day-to-day operation as an HR professional. So these things are not spooky, they are real. But the first thing is gathering your data, whether it's qualitative, whether it's quantitative, know how to use your tool, and you now see where domain knowledge comes in, because it doesn't make sense if you are just trying to create dashboard, crunch the numbers, but you don't understand how those things apply to employees in a way that gives the company a competitive advantage. Thank you very much. Dami, over to you so that we don't take too much of time. I believe we have other questions, but I just wanted to stress that this thing is real. The guy on the screen is real. The analytics is real. They are going to drill you. There's assignments, there's projects, and it's a diverse class. Your facilitators are very kind. They are very kind. They are very kind. They are very patient. Nobody is a baby in class. Nobody is you won't be thinking like, "What am I?" You are not dull. Don't worry. They can take you from where you are. You can ask questions and questions and questions again. There's a WhatsApp group, and there's your assignment, there's your capstone projects, you have your presentation. To be very honest with you, when I look back, I'm very grateful for that, because our capstone project was a beautiful. It was like you were having a management presentation. It was literally like we were presenting to management with feedback here and there. Why didn't you do like this? It was a stellar experience. So guys, if you're still trying to think of making a decision, this is the confirmation that you need. Sign up right now. You need to be in the next cohort. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Victor. Thanks a lot for that broad explanation. All right, so let's take a couple of questions from the chat. Can I get in touch with instruct? Yeah, you can check out Victor on LinkedIn. Is on LinkedIn as Victor Oishino. You can see his name right here. So if you type that in on LinkedIn, so follow him. He's always posting really educative stuff about HR analytics. Can someone who doesn't have an experience in HR excel as an HR analyst, would there be any issues?
Well, if you don't have an experience in HR, of course, you can still get an HR analyst opportunity. You just need to be able to demonstrate that you have the value, which is first your analytic skill, and of course, your domain knowledge of HR. Even if it's theory knowledge of HR that you have, it's okay as a starter. Everybody started out from the base, but you must have at least mild proportion of both HR domain knowledge, analytics, which is your skills, being able to make use of data, and of course, understanding what HR is. And like I mentioned, you can go to aihr.com. I think I'll just put that in the comment section. It's one of the best blogs that any aspiring or even experienced HR professional can go to. They have resources, they have articles, they have templates, they have too many things that can help you started, that can help you get started rather in your HR journey. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, so Addison says, I presently clock a year in HR, having switching from executive assistant after 6 years. For the 1 year experience, I've worked as HRBP support and shared service support. Basically, I was in charge of HR shared service, also did some outsourced for contract staff and onboarding. So how do I go into HR analytics? What are the requirements?
Okay, that's fine. I can see that you wanted to do HR. That's why after you've even spent your time in another career path, you were able to transition. Now, within the context of the company where you are, don't even start looking outside first. Get raw people data from Kaggle, get some employee data from analytics websites, create something, send it to your HOD. Create an impression. If you've not started the classes, you can watch a few YouTube videos, and I believe that you are planning to join this class. Some of the things they're going to teach you in your first 3 weeks, which I believe they are still doing, problem solving, Excel, all those kind of things, can help you get started. So work with that data, create something, send it to your boss. By the time you do that, particularly if you don't have a data culture in your organization, and if your boss is somebody that is forward thinking and they're open to new ideas, they're like, oh, wow, this makes a lot of sense. Did you do it? Yes, I did it. Hold it with your chest. Even if your dashboards are looking zigzag, it's okay. Everybody's first dashboard did not look very fine. It's okay. It's okay. I'm being real here. Everybody's first dashboard did not look okay. Now, if you have that kind of reception from your boss, then look into your company. Do you have a strong data culture? Many times people cannot make sense of people data to management because the company doesn't even have a data culture. So if you don't have a data culture, your first point, of course, is to say, hi, boss. So I'm thinking about these. We can use dashboard. We can create, we can sort our data. We can use to make decisions. It can help management and all that. Okay, but we don't have a data culture. So start. Arrange all the data that you need, whether you have an HRIS. Usually if you have an HRIS, you're able to download a CSV file that has all the data that you need. But if you don't have, then start the hard work of collating first name, middle name, last name, demographic details, age details, employee length of service, all of those very key things. When you have that spread, you can now begin to, look at the data, sort it out, analyze it, use your pivot table, use your chart, find trends, but start from where you are. Don't try looking outside. Start from where you are. Try to make a case to your boss. Send stuff to your boss. Just create something that can open the door for you within where you are. And if the reception is good, that can be your journey to your boss even trusting you enough to lead the function of HR analytics within your company. And of course, as you build that capacity where you are and you're stronger, it's easier to attract other opportunities outside. So one step at a time. Don't wait for anybody. Just create something before Monday. Even if it's a crash YouTube course, watch it. You could check out Alex Freiberg on YouTube. He has an amazing channel. Do something, send to your boss, kick off the conversation from there. I hope that helps. Thank you very much.
Okay, yeah, thank you so much. Aditon, I hope that answers your question. All right. So next question says, do you apply gamification to your HR processes? How do you measure KPIs of gamification efforts? And what tools are available for analyzing data from gamification or the gamification strategy?
Okay, that's Afensu Ibiso. I think I can see you. All right, so I understand the concept of gamification, and it's one of the tools that is used in businesses to see how you can either help people learn or improve performance. How? Through games. So I know that there are a few companies around the world, and there's a particular company in Nigeria. I think they are called Outside in HR. They are one of the partners for Selemi. You can Google CELEMI.org. So if you check out selemi.org, they deploy gamification solutions. So gamification is probably not what you can find in every organization. Yes, CE, let me just speak that, CELEMI.org. Just want to be sure that that website is correct. Selemi.com, yeah, CELEMI.com. Now, they deploy gamification solutions around the world, and they have partners in Nigeria. So let's say, for example, in the case of Avensu, your company already deploys gamification, or better still, your HR team has designed some sort of gamification technique and process to either help people learn or to increase performance. Now, what you would know and understand is with whatever you are creating in your front end or back end, there is usually, so there's a very strong handshake between how products team create a product and data design and all of that. Now, what I'm trying to say is, whichever way you set your gamification to work, let's say, for example, you wanted to run a game on problem solving. So you can have a 3D game on the screen where people will literally move. You know how there can be a hut, and then they will say you go and find a missing item and you have to move from one maze to another. I don't know if you've played any game like that before. Any virtual game, something's missing, but you're going to literally have to navigate with your computer within that space on your screen to find the missing tool. That's a literal example of gamification. So let's say you're trying to use that to solve or to help managers learn problem solving. Or let's even say a game like Scrabble. I mean, people know Scrabble. Scrabble is a game. So I don't play Scrabble anyway, but they say, when you spend this, you make money from this, you can use this money to buy assets and all. So let's say you're trying to teach people something, problem solving, design thinking, whatever it is, there must be an intention that you have when you set out the order of the game. So whatever you have in your system that helps you correlate whatever the performance on the game is to numbers. I don't know if you understand that. Let me take that again. So let's say, for example, when I was talking about performance, let's say excellent, 80 to 100% means excellent, or 5 stands for excellent, 4 stands for good, 3 stands for average, 2 stands for poor, 1 stands for do not promote. So let's say across a spread of 50 employees, 20 of them have 5. Are you seeing the sense in this now? 10 of them have 4. Another 10 has 3. And then the last 10 has 2. Now, on your Excel or on your form or your gamification platform, what you have is excellent, good, average, not performing. But you've linked each of those things to actual numbers. Am I making sense, guys? I wish I could hear you right now. You've linked each of those things to actual numbers. So by the time you're bringing those things on your Excel and you're trying to connect them to your numbers, whether it's with your if statements, whatever it is, you can bridge the whole excellent, poor performance, average into numbers, and then you analyze those numbers. You draw your trends from those numbers. You do your dashboard from those numbers. You draw your chart from those numbers. By the time you're creating reports and giving inferences from those numbers, you can now link them back to what you link them to. So let's say, for example, 20% of the employees had excellence, or 20% of the employees had 5. Or when you eventually had your pie chart or your pie charts and you had your numbers, let's say it was 1 to 10, 5 had this, 4 had this, you can now connect it back to the number of employees with the codes that you set initially. I hope I was able to simplify it. So you have your gamification techniques, you have what you set at the back end, you connect it to numbers such that you can be able to analyze it, make sense of that data, and then connect it back to the original intent. So I use the example of good, very good, poor performance, do not promote, and all that. So that works. If you want to talk to me personally, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn, you can talk about it. But when it comes to gamification, there has to be a lot of elements that come into the front end and the back end, and how you can take the result and make sense of that data through numbers. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right. So one question from me that I'd like to ask is, so what are the HR metrics that you usually, that you worked with in your previous roles, or that you usually look out for? And how does HR analytics help you, develop these HR metrics? I don't know if you understand what I mean.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. So metrics really are like units of measurements, really. How do you want to measure? What's the measure? So because I have my data, whether it's raw data, whether it's data that's been cleaned, I have my spread of data, I have HR knowledge. So I know what I'm looking for. So recruitment could say, what inferences or how can we make sense of analytics from recruitment data? Time to fill, time to hire. So for example, you need to hire for certain roles in a certain industry. However, because that skill set is not very prominent in that industry, there are not many people that have that kind of skill set. And also, your recruitment budget cannot hire the kind of people that have those skill sets. You will find out that it will take longer time to fill in that role. Does that make sense? Because why? There are already scarce people in the industry that have that skill set. yet you are also not offering the compensation and reward for that role. So time to hire now comes to place. Okay, this recruitment process typically takes 2 days to fill, takes 1 week to fill, 10 days to fill. Does that make sense? Real life scenario. Nothing spooky, nothing is real life scenario. So turnover rates, these are some of the things I also do in my report. Retention rate. So in a particular business year, we had 100 people at the beginning of the business year. I'm sure that some of you, depending on the kind of companies that you work, you plan in financial years. You don't just work in places where we are doing in January has come, we are going to the year party, let's start again. There's proper planning, there's budgeting. Do you understand? People plan in financial years. Company strategy is broken down into financial years. We're not just going somewhere like we don't know where we are going. No. So in January, we had 100 people, total workforce. Now in September, we seem to have 75 people. What's our turnover rate? What's our retention rate? X over the number of people who left over number of people at the beginning of the year times 100 over 1, straight to the point. With your Excel, you can simply do that because, again, part of data analytics means you are tracking data across the entire employee life cycle. So whether it's from the recruitment part to the onboarding part, to learn and development, to performance management, to exit. So you're looking at exit and you're saying, so we don't exit interview when people leave. At some point in my different job roles, I used to handle exit interviews. From the exit interview, beyond deploying a survey that the employee fills before they leave, you have an exit chart. So you notice that people are leaving for why? They are going back to school, educational reasons, JAPA, what else? Financial reasons, remuneration, no work-life balance. That's data. So by the time I'm creating my HR reports from my numbers and everything, I'm putting that as a recommendation. And that is also helping to plan our HR system. So retention rates, turnover rates, employee length of service, time to fill, time to hire, etc., etc. These are some of the things that I work on in my report. I'm still trying to see if I can share that with you on my screen, but I'm trying to remove as much company detail from that, so that you guys are not seeing things that are supposed to be private. However, if you go on my LinkedIn profile, like I said, if you go on my LinkedIn profile, you see a few screenshots from some of the dashboards that I did in my analytics projects and all that. That would suffer, but I would love to show you real life something. Let me see if we can still work out something very, very briefly. Okay, Dami, am I able to share my screen?
Yes, you are.
All right, can you guys see something?
It's coming up. Yeah, we can see your screen now.
Okay. All right. That's just a glimpse of one of what my dashboard looks like, or one of my charts. That's just a glimpse of one of the charts. I've taken it off already. Somebody's asking, yeah, I don't want to be swiping because even as I swipe to the right, probably I've seen a lot of numbers and all that. Somebody's asking, damn, you are laughing. I mean, data privacy is very important. That's probably another thing that is going on right now from, how do you manage employee data? Let's say, for example, you have an HRIS and all that. There has to be access control. Let's say somebody is a sickle cell. Everybody in the company should not know that somebody is sickle cell. That guy is sickle cell. Don't go close to him. Why? Because HR was not wise in managing the data. So there's access control, there's different things and all of that. Somebody's asking, what's the YouTube channel? Should I share my LinkedIn profile? Yes, I already shared my LinkedIn profile. I can share that again. I can share my LinkedIn profile again, and then we can take a few more questions before Dami says our time is up.
All right, so I can see somebody asking if they are going to be taught everything that you've said so far in the HR analytics cohort. And so I'm just going to very quickly bring up do a very quick explanation of what the HR analytics program is about, the same one that Victor took, and how you can also get started in this program. So please confirm you can see my screen. Please confirm you can see my screen.
Yes, I can see your screen. I can.
All right, thank you. So I'm going to do a very quick explanation, and then we'll take the other questions that we have and call it a very wonderful, wonderful class. So yeah, here we go. Now, this is all about becoming a master HR analytics professional, and this is something that you can get started with now and become a perfect person in the next couple of, well, nobody is perfect, but you can be a professional in the next couple of months. HR will not be replaced by data analytics, but HR who do not use data analytics will be replaced by those who do. This is basically just speaking to the fact that if you are somebody who is interested in HR and you don't have the analytics and data part of skills, then you are probably not doing something correctly. Now, if you're somebody who wants to be able to provide data on employee development best practices, you want to support recruitment processes with data and statistics to show trends and patterns easily, you want to be able to compile HR data and metrics from the human resource information system, you want to be able to analyze data relative to performance management programs, you want to be able to contribute to system decision making, scoping and arranging HR system projects in support of the overall HR strategy, then you are in the right place. Now, this HR analytics program, what does it entail? What is the program overview? It is 100% online learning. Victor said it earlier. It's completely virtual. You don't have to leave the comfort of your home before you can take this program, right? It is hands-on practical sessions with videos, exercise, and projects. In this program, you are going to be working on a lot of case studies, a lot of projects that would help you build your portfolio. So even if you don't have HR background, you've never worked in HR before, the fact that you're working on a lot of HR case studies and a lot of HR projects will help you build that background. And then another thing is that you have lifetime access to materials and experts. Victor took his program last year, November, like he said, but till now we still like communicate, and it's the same way a lot of people that have also passed through our programs. So you have lifetime access to the programs, to the materials that you've used in your programs, and you also have lifetime access to Tenalytics as well. In class, you're going to be working on you're going to be having 20 live classes, 20 classes with treating 50 plus topics. Now, the average salary of an HR analyst in Nigeria is about 8 million naira per annum, right? And so that's like a very uncommon per annum salary. You get to add 6 projects and more to your portfolio. This HR analytics program gives you 100% job visibility. Companies are now hiring HR analysts to help them make sense of their HR data, right? The way they are hiring data analysts to help them make sense of their data, their company data. Now, you also get your certificate, which is very industry relevant. It is 2 months of training plus 1 month of virtual internship. All right. So with the advent of data, the HR role has moved from a cost center to a strategic. Okay, so it has moved from cost centers to a strategic business unit. And HR analytics is also called people analytics. It's also called talent analytics. It is not just HR analytics. You can go online and search for people analytics. It's the same thing. Talent analytics, it is the same thing. Okay, so HR analytics help HR managers and executives make data-driven decisions. Okay, so with HR analytics, you're going to be able to make sense of your HR data and also make data-driven decisions with this HR data. And it's very important that you start leveraging analytics in if you're somebody who already has you have the HR professional background, it's very important that you start leveraging the HR analytics expertise to give you more visibility and more help you make better decisions in your company. Okay, so this course is designed for both beginners and experienced level professionals. If you don't have any experience at all, that is fine. We always say that just come as you are, and then we'd always like meet you halfway as the HR person. Okay, so you don't have to have any experience at all. We would teach you from the scratch. This is for beginners who are with little or no experience, who are looking to jump into HR analytics. Okay, so the classes are very engaging, 100% virtual. You're going to be getting value for your money. And we'll be engaging you on interactive learning methods to explain how to contribute to HR systems, how to make this decision making in HR, scoping and arranging HR systems projects in support of overall HR strategy. So this is the program lineup. You're going to be learning problem solving at first, and then move into Microsoft Excel for data analytics, after which you move into Microsoft Power BI for data analytics. Then you move into HR analytics and performance evaluation, human resources matrix and life cycle, HR analysis and dashboarding, collaboration and report automation, building your case and creating action. And then you're going to be also working on leveraging ChatGPT as HR analytics, which is an added plus in this program. Okay. Now, this is like a deeper breakdown of what you're going to be studying in the HR analytics program. You can see what we have lined up for the problem solving class, down to the Excel for analytics, down to the Power BI. Then you're also going to take an introduction to HR analytics, where you get to learn HR analytics and performance evaluation, human resources metrics and life cycle, HR analysis and dashboarding, collaboration and report automation, building your case and creating action. So if you want to get this brochure, you need to fill the attendance form that's been sent to the group, and then you'll be able to check check it out, and yeah, you'll be able to check that out. All right. Now, so yes, this is earlier, because we talked about the internship, which really like helped during his program. So we have also 1 month free intensive internship where you get to work on different real life case study, right? You get to build an online portfolio with over 6 high-end projects. You get to also gain online presence for job visibility, job prospect visibility. There is also coaching and mentorship. There is also coaching and mentorship. Okay. This is the breakdown, the roadmap of what the class is going to, the HR analytics program. Okay. So the classes are usually on Saturdays. Live classes are on Saturdays, where you get to work from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. West African time. And then on Sundays, we have something that we call the Watch Me Do It videos. And these are like self-paced videos that you can use to that you can work with from Sunday down to Friday, where then you come back to class on Saturday to work on another real life case study. Okay, so Saturdays, live classes, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Sundays, you have self-paced Watch Me Do It videos that you're going to be working with in the Google Classroom. Like I said earlier, you have 1 month of free internship, and then added pluses to the added advantages to this program is the CV review, where we organize like a CV review session where we bring in an expert to come and teach you how to build your CV, which is very important, because if you're trying to position yourself in this world of today, you need to know how to build your CV. You need to know how to optimize your CV. Okay, so CV review, LinkedIn optimization session as well. LinkedIn is very, very important, right? It's one place that recruiters will always like reach out to you that, okay, they are looking to fill a role. Do you want to, are you interested, and all of that. So LinkedIn optimization is very important. Navigating the job market sessions, where we bring in people, experts that will take you through, just like a mentorship session, will take you through how they've gone through their own career and how you can also kickstart yours as well. We have interview preparation. So if you have an interview, you need someone to prepare you. We always do that as well. So we have links that people can use to book interview prep sessions with us. We also have the weekly mentorship session where we bring in experts, we bring in you're also going to be meeting at Adiza and Ifemina a lot in the weekly mentorship session, talking about different things that you should do as a tech professional. So again, it's 4 months of learning journey. You have 3 months of live classes, then 2 weeks of capstone projects, and 1 month virtual internship. Now, you can also, like I said earlier, you get to join the growth internship. You add the internship to your CV. You have the opportunity of adding the internship to your CV. You have you get to own your skills. You're going to be doing a project review with an expert, and also 6 real life projects. Now you can explore diverse profiles within the HR analytics tech skill. You don't have to just stick to HR analytics. We have reward analysts, we have talent analysts, we have people analysts. Like I said earlier, we have compensation and benefit analysts. They all come together to still under the HR analytics professional umbrella. Okay, so you can see some of the projects that you'll be working on. We have the Castro Technologies project, the Nestle project, the employee attrition in IBM, data science salaries, fraudulent transactions in the banks, and like the various projects that you're going to be working on. And I've also talked about the 50% that you get, which is the CV review, LinkedIn optimization, Upwork optimization. Say you don't want to work under anybody, you want to be a freelancer. Upwork is the platform for that, and we're going to be teaching you how to also get started in that. Navigating the job market, recommendation letters and reference letter, which is very important. If you've gotten a job somewhere, you need somebody to write you a recommendation letter. Would always like offer that, right? So that you can would stand in for you as your recommendation, your recommender, right? Then job and interview preparation. Okay, so these are some of your facilitators. This is Emmanuel Abegunde, is the head human resource at Pedabo. That was it, yeah. Right. Then meet Joseph Kendi, who is human resource partner at IBM. This is Adeza Suleiman. I introduced him earlier. He's the founder of Analytics. You're going to be meeting Adeza in class. The same as Lulu Abiodun Oyedepo, who is a senior data associate at Analytics. You're going to be meeting Lulu in class. The same as Oladapo. Oladapo is one of the people that you really need to learn from, because the way he dishes out his knowledge is really commendable. Now, we have our next HR Analytics program coming up on the 7th of October. This is our calendar for the year. And so for October, we are going to be starting Saturday, the 7th of October. So if you want to register, you need to do that as early as possible. The program fee is £400. The original fee is £400. If you're paying in Naira, you're paying 320,000 Naira. But we currently have a discount ongoing. And so if you're paying in Naira, you're paying, instead of paying 270, you get to pay 320. Instead of paying 320, you get to pay 270. If you're paying in pounds, instead of paying 400, you get to pay 300. If you're paying in US dollars, instead of paying you get to pay 400 US dollars. If you're paying in Canadian dollars, you get to pay 500 Canadian dollars. And these payments, you can even do it twice. You don't have to do it at once, right? So this is the breakdown. You can see the first payment, you can see the second payment. If you're paying in pounds, the first payment will be £200, and the second payment will be 100 for that is 1 month into the program. If you're paying in Naira, you're paying 180 and then 90. US dollars 300, 100, Canadian dollars 350, 150. Okay, this is the payment details in case you'd like to take a screenshot of the payments. And when you make payments, you can then send us a message. We'll have a link, a PayPal link that you can use to make payment as well, that you can just click on. I'm also going to drop that in the chat. Okay. You can also shop our programs on Paystack, right, for easy payments. And then when you've made payments, you can upload your proof of payments using this link right here. I'm also going to drop all of that in the chat. look at a couple of our testimonials. You can also see Victor here, right? So Victor got a job with Ugo and is the one speaking with us today. We also have Maureen, who landed a job with Telesus in Canada right after her HR program. The same thing with Thelma, landed a job in Birmingham, UK as an HR analyst. So we have we have lots and lots of testimonials that you can go to our YouTube, see them, go to our analytics Instagram, lots of professional people that have also gotten job as well, and they were our students. All right, so yeah, that's how you can get started in HR analytics. Now, before we go, we'll take a couple of questions for. Okay, I didn't see SQL there. Yes, you're going to be doing SQL as well. For some reason, it wasn't included here, but yes, in the HR analytics program, we also have SQL. All right. So, hi, Victor. Are you still there?
Yes, Dami, I'm still very much here. I'm around.
All right. Okay, so let's look at one or two more questions before we go. Somebody is saying, how long can you take to get comfortable in the HR profession as a newbie? How long can it take to get comfortable in the HR profession as a newbie?
As long as your determination is going to take you, and as long as you're able to commit and prioritize practice, to be very honest, it can be 3 months. Now, I understand the whole concept of building depth, getting your feet deeply rooted and all that. But as a starter, in 3 months, to be very honest, if you have that time to really practice and give yourself to knowledge, you are able to build your skill above the basic level. Again, I probably understand that a lot of you on this call have a lot of other engagements, so you can't just completely shut down for 3 months. But I know a few people like that who I even look up to on LinkedIn that had the privilege. Maybe they had family support, they didn't have to look out for themselves. They could literally shut down for 3 months. So as long as your desire can take you, as long as you're able to commit and prioritize practice, you can get started as soon as that. That answers your question. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I guess last question. Okay, so last question from me, right? What would you say to somebody who is looking to get started in HR analytics? What would be your advice for somebody who's looking to get started in HR analytics?
First thing, don't try to figure out a lot of things by yourself. Find a platform like Tenalytics, and it's not just me setting them, that have a structured learning path. It's very, if you check a lot of people, whether it's software engineering, whether it's product, you'll find out that that's something that is similar. There's a difference between those who are just watching YouTube videos, and for example, Adesa was saying that at some point on the webinar, they were saying that they were learning some things that they didn't need to worry themselves about. Find people who have gone through the path, who have created a structured learning path, a systematic learning path. That's the first thing. When you get on their platform like this, it's easier to be able to navigate what you need per time. Number two, develop a mindset that Excel or Power BI or SQL is something that your head can carry. Let me use Nigerian Palace. It's not complicated. You must be comfortable that your head can carry it. I mean, way back in October last year or even June last year, I just understand Excel. These things, pivot table, pivot chart. Those things were difficult. So mindset, know that you can understand those things and you can learn them and do it. And of course, the third one would be practice. Give yourself to practice. Devour knowledge voraciously. Watch YouTube videos. Do a lot of practice. If you do those 3 things, by the time you had the 4th one, which is visibility, putting out your work, putting out your project, I believe that you should get something very solid in no time. So those are very 4 key things that I would say. Structured learning part, focus your time, very important. Practice, voracious knowledge, put out your work publicly, and really hope that can you help a beginner roadmap? Yes, Joseph, the roadmap is literally what Dami shared
on the PowerPoint, literally. That's the roadmap from problem solving to Excel. So you won't be learning NumPy or be learning VLOOKUP, or be learning what's this very thing. You should start from problem solving, problem solving, understand business needs, all those kind of things before you now go into Excel. So exactly, that's what Dami has on the screen. That's the roadmap. That's the roadmap. The roadmap now fills into how the facilitators teach you, what they take you across each module. But that systematic and structured learning part will save you time. It will save you wasting 18 months to focus on what you didn't have to be focusing on at this initial stage. So I hope that helps. Thank you. Thank you very much. And I would like to add that beyond wanting to break into tech, thanks, Yusuf, I can see your comment. Beyond wanting to break into tech or wanting to have that strong tech skill, particularly if you are treading the path of HR analytics, supply chain analytics, finance analytics, I want you guys to understand that you must always be in tune with company strategy. You must understand why companies exist and what the company is doing. You must understand what's the business priority of your company or whichever place you want to work. What are the topmost business priority? What are the organizational needs? When you have all of those things in perspective, that's when you can bring in the HR or the people elements and then make sense of what you are doing. I hope if you didn't get anything, you're able to understand that these things are very important. So it is when you have this foundational knowledge, this basic approach, this overarching perspective to doing your work, that all the analytics elements in HR, whether it's recruitment, whether it's performance, whether it's compensation, whatever it is, will now make sense and is strategic. That way you're a valuable HR person, optimizing employee experience and having to help your organizations to gain competitive advantage in your industry. So please hold that with your left hand. It's very important. Beyond dashboards, beyond trends, you must understand what we are doing, you must understand where we are going, you must understand what the people's strategy is and how to make sense of it in a way that organizations have competitive advantage and the employees have a great employee experience. So that's the best way to put it. Thank you very much. I don't know if there's still any other question, but it's very important for me to stress that.
Thank you so much. That was really educating. All right. So do we have any other questions for Victor or for me? Somebody's asking how long the program takes. It's for 4 months, right? So you have 3 months of learning and then 1 month of internship. That is the duration of the program. Okay. Do we have any other questions for me or for Victor? Before we call it a very fantastic day. All right, I guess not. So thank you so much, Victor, for coming. You've been an amazing person all through. Thank you. We've really learned a lot. I personally have learned a lot, and I want to believe every other person here has done the same as well. So thank you for coming, guys. We also have more practical sessions coming up, so just be on the lookout. That will be all for today. Thank you, guys, and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye, everyone.
Yeah, bye. Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Thank you, Victor. Bye.